Hey BookTube, here's part 2 of my July wrap-up.
I got my ticket for the long way round.
I split this wrap-up into 2 parts because it was just too long. So this is part 2 of the stuff I read in July that was sci-fi, paranormal, and fantasy. The Assassins of Altis, which is book 3 in the Pillars of Reality series by Jack Campbell. This was narrated by MacLeod Andrews, and I love him. I love his narration of this series, and I love this series. This is all about Marie and Elaine. Marie is a mechanic in the Mechanics Guild, which is all about steampunk and science and the way things work. And then Elaine is a mage in the Mage Guild, which is all about magic. Those guys all believe that reality isn't real, so you can manipulate it. And they kind of do. It's kind of cool. This third book, Elaine wasn't as strong, and he would either be deferring to Marie or Marie would be running roughshod right over him. I didn't like that as much. Marie got really angsty, and she'd alternate between being a strong leader and a silly girl. And I could have done with a lot less of that. So while this wasn't my favorite of the series, I think, it's the series, it's the world. The world building continued to just expand and get better. MacLeod Andrews can do no wrong. He can only make it better, and his personalities that he gave to the characters were just wonderful. So I gave that one 4 stars. The Shadow Prince, which is the novella that launches the Mortal Enchantment series by Stacey O'Neill. I read this because Christina over at Lulo Fangirl said that this was her absolute favorite novella of all time. She said it's amazing. You got to read it. Well, I did, because it's narrated by Zachary Weber, who is my new favorite narrator. He is. I wish he would narrate everything so I could just always be happy about what I was listening to. He just made it better. He's just such a good narrator. And it's not because of the pitch of his voice, or because his voice is so sexy, or because he is so good at, whatever. He's so good because he's a voice actor, and because he's able to just give a distinct personality to each character that he voices. I think he's fantastic. I really, truly do wish he would just read everything. Well, this is the story of Rowan, who is set to inherit the Fire Kingdom in the Fairy Realm. And his mother, Prisma, is in charge, and she is a monster. She's a ruthless, horrible monster, runs the kingdom and is running it into the ground because she's a ruthless, horrible monster. He shows up to take the crown, and she says, before you do, you've got to do this thing for me, because she never gives anything away without getting something. So he shows up with his best friend Marcus, and they are tasked to go assassinate Kaylin, who is the main character in the whole rest of the series. She's the daughter of King Talon, and he's the king of one of the other elemental kingdoms within the fairy realm. And so Rowan has this huge moral dilemma going on, and it gets a little ridiculous after a while. It's one of those tropes where you have the sacrifice the one to save the many kind of a thing. He knows if he can just take over the kingdom, things will all be better, and is it worth it to kill this one girl? Well, it's not, and he can't do it, and so he goes back, tells his mother. She does not treat him well, and in fact she uses his best friend to hurt him very badly. So then he goes to King Talon to recover, and then we launch into the whole series of the Mortal Enchantment series. I liked it. I thought, like I say, I thought his moral dilemma and waffling back and forth got a little ridiculous, but I loved the character development, even within that short story. I thought a lot happened. A lot of brutal, violent things happened, and I think this could have been its own book, really, and it would have been very good. But as it was, I really liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. And by the way, that ebook is free on Amazon. You do have to pay for the audiobook, but the ebook is free. The Ring and the Crown, which is book 1 in the Ring and the Crown series by Melissa de la Cruz. It is narrated on audio by Jennifer Ikeda, who does an amazing job. I had no idea that this American-born California girl could do all these authentic British accents and French accents, and then she switches to an American girl, because it's wow, I was so impressed. I really, really think that that narration made the book all the better. This book should be called The Ring, the Crown, and Around We Go. And around and around and around. Because, holy cow, there are so many POVs. It's like, if you were reading this book, I think you would have trouble keeping track of what was happening and who it was happening to. On audio, that's a lot easier because people sound a certain way. So, when they start talking, you immediately know who's speaking because you hear that personality coming through. So, it's just this tangled mess of a soap opera that takes place in an alternate 1920s England. And really, it's very, very, very complicated, kind of convoluted. You've got all kinds of people that are interconnected in all kinds of ways. So there's a plot twist that happens at the end that I honestly did not see coming. And it has a very bittersweet ending. And so, I don't know, I guess this is going to be a series, so she'll pick up that ending and then go on from there. I think this really can function as a standalone. I don't think it needs to be read as the first in a series. That said, second book isn't out yet, so we'll see. But I gave this one 4 stars. A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is by Sarah J. Maas, and it was narrated on audio, again by Jennifer Ikeda. Well, if you've been on BookTube at all and you watch people who talk about YA books, then you know about this book. This is actually an adult book. It is not YA. Actually, I would call it new adult. It kind of has that feel to it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it because everybody's talking about it, so I will just say that it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It has to do with fairies. I liked the hero a lot. I thought his character was really well developed. The heroine, the main character, I didn't like as much. She's interesting, but she's not amazing. So, I could kind of take or leave her. The book does get really good towards the end, and there is a very, very bad villain in this novel. So it does get kind of brutal and violent. But, I thought it was okay. I liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. I think it skimmed right over the top of 3-star territory, like by a hair, right into 4-star territory, mainly because of the narration and because the ending was pretty fantastic. And lastly, The Secret, which is book 3 in the Irin Chronicles by Elizabeth Hunter. This was narrated by Zachary Weber, and you've heard me go on and on about him already, so I won't go on anymore. And all I have to say about this book is it's part of the Irin Chronicles. It's Ava, it's Malachi, it's that world. It's amazing. I will do a full review on this series because this was a 5-star book for me. I did not want it to end. I loved it. So those are all the books that I read in July. And of course, if you've read any of them, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. So please, let's talk about those in comments. And that's it for now from me. I will see you tomorrow. And so until then, thanks for watching.
When I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.